Hey there, I'm Bee, and welcome back to Read in Rome. I'm filming this a few days before the 4th of July, and I'm so excited to celebrate. There will be great food, fun parades, time with friends and family, and of course, fireworks. Except, there might not be fireworks this year. That's because in my city, there's been a big debate about whether or not they should be allowed. This fireworks debate is the perfect chance to show you two important ideas: bias and credibility. What do those words mean, and why do they matter when we're reading? Let's find out. Have you ever had a really strong opinion about a person or situation that turned out to be wrong? Well, when I was a kid, I had this one friend who was super into video games. I used to tease him about it, saying he's wasting hours of his life hunched in front of a screen, pressing buttons in a fake fantasy land. Luckily, my opinion changed one day when my friend invited me to play with him. I quickly realized that I was wrong, and that playing video games could be a fun and meaningful experience. But because I had such a strong and negative opinion at first, I didn't describe my friend's hobby in a fair, kind, or honest way. The words I used were exaggerated and one-sided. That's called bias. Bias means having strong feelings for or against something based on opinion rather than fact. When a piece of writing is biased, the author presents an issue in a one-sided way, clearly favoring one thing over another. You might think, hey, isn't that the same thing as an author's perspective? Not quite. Remember, an author's perspective isn't necessarily about what's right or wrong, or true or false. Perspective just shows us where the author's coming from and how that affects the way they write. But if an author's perspective causes them to write in a way that's one-sided and unfair, that might be bias. Everyone has biases, even if we don't realize we have them. But bias can be a big problem when it causes authors to claim unfair, untrue, or hurtful things in their writing, whether on purpose or by accident. On the other hand, authors that are credible, meaning they're trustworthy and reliable, try to be aware of their biases so they can consider all sides of a topic fairly. They write in a way that appeals to many people, not just a few who agree with them. Even when they state a specific opinion, they do it in a way that's thoughtful and respectful, inviting readers to think together with them. That's why it's important for us as readers to recognize bias and credibility. Then we can think critically about the ideas we read, rather than just believing or disbelieving them right away. We can also learn to recognize our own biases in how we read and write. So, we know what bias is. How do we recognize bias in a text? Well, there are three things we can pay attention to: the language used, the facts provided, and the author who wrote it. To show you what I mean, let's revisit my city's debate on fireworks for the 4th of July. First, here's a news article about the fireworks ban. Mr. Charlie Boom, heroic owner of our local Kaboom fireworks depot, is standing up for fireworks. Banning fireworks is like banning joy and happiness, he told reporters last Thursday. Although haters claim they're a fire hazard, expert fireworks master Mr. Boom reassures us that's not the case. In fact, on July 4th last year, there were 0 major wildfires reported. It is clear that a fireworks ban would be terrible for our community. Interesting article. Do you think this article shows bias? Why or why not? Pause to record your ideas in your guided notes. I'm definitely seeing some bias in this article. First, what do you notice about the language used? In a biased text, the language is often exaggerated and shows strong positive or negative emotions. It might attack people instead of discussing ideas. For example, words like hardworking and heroic paint Mr. Boom as a clear good guy, while words like ridiculous and haters make the opposite side seem unreasonable. How about facts, reasons, or evidence in this article? In a credible article, they'd be presented in a fair way that shows all sides. But this article doesn't really do that. It only shows the perspective of one side and gives evidence that sounds important but isn't very meaningful. And what about the author of this article? Sometimes learning more about the author's purpose or perspective can help us identify bias. Does this author have a reason to take one side over another? Well, you might have noticed that Eddie Boom shares the same last name as Charlie, the owner of the fireworks store. I did some research. Turns out they're brothers. It makes sense that Eddie might write a biased article to protect his brother's business, but it's definitely not a fair or responsible thing to do. So, to recap, if you notice exaggerated emotional language, facts that don't show the whole story, and an author with a one-sided goal, you may be reading a biased text. Now, I want to show you a different news article about the fireworks debate. Check it out. This week, community members have argued about whether or not to ban fireworks this 4th of July. Some are concerned that local businesses and traditions may be affected by this ban. Others believe that the loud noises are too disruptive for people and animals. The City Council, together with the Fire Marshal, have explained that their main priority is to lower the risk of wildfires thanks to this month's hot, dry weather. The council plans to make a decision by July 1st. To share your opinion and stay updated, visit the City Council website. That article is about the same topic but feels a little different. Do you think it shows bias? Why or why not? Pause to record your ideas in your guided notes. Unlike the first article, this one seems like a credible, trustworthy news source. The language used is neutral, which means that it isn't strongly positive or negative. The facts presented are clear and detailed, and the author doesn't seem to emphasize one side over another. A credible text like this simply informs readers about the facts and allows them to form their own conclusions. Now, we've gotten a chance to look at a biased text and a credible text. In your lesson materials, you'll get to read the other side of the fireworks debate as you continue learning about bias and credibility. And remember, everyone has biases, but recognizing them helps us be responsible readers and writers. Great work! That's a wrap on this unit. In the next unit, you'll get the chance to apply some of the skills and ideas you've learned in your own writing. Remember, where there are words, there's a world to explore. Until next time. Hey.